Welcome to the Kings Beat podcast. I am James Ham, your Kings Insider for ESPN 1320 and the Kings Beat. Joining me today, this evening, tonight, live, Fox 40, Sean Cunningham. Sean, how are you?
Hey, that's me. Hi, I'm good. I'm very good. I actually just spent the last 25 minutes or so catching up with Kevin Martin.
The Kevin Martin, the one whose heroics in Game 3 helped to tie the series once they won in Game 4, and yeah, that Spurs series, it was a lot of fun. He doesn't look a day. Doesn't look really look. First of all, he doesn't look his age. He still looks about the same age as he was as a player, and okay,
he's 40 now. 40 with two young girls. So yeah, man, it was pretty fun.
He always looked young. We'll make sure you tell us where to find that towards the end of the show so people can look it up.
For sure.
And of course, we're also joined by Brenden Nunes from the Kings Pulse podcast. Brenden, how are you? Fresh off of your interview with the great Anthony Slater.
I did have Slater on Kings Pulse earlier today. Check that out.
Sean, are you questioning whether he's not great?
Sean doesn't like that word.
That's fantastic.
I have an old man rant because you guys are rubbing off on me. Typically,
I feel like no Sean country gets an for old man rant. Is that what's happening?
I don't know what that means. You know what really grinds my gears?
Grinds your gears. What else? What's another way you
He's
can
going
say it?
old school.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on. Let's find a more upbeat version of that. What could we say? What
gnashes your teeth?
Chaps your ass.
Chaps my hide.
Go ahead.
There's a bunch of parking spots right outside my window here, and nothing just makes me roll my eyes harder than people that think you can't hear or don't realize that you can hear their entire phone conversation when they're on Bluetooth in the car. And it was the loudest thing I've ever heard. It lasted about 10 minutes. It wasn't an entertaining conversation, or I wouldn't be complaining. It was the most boring thing ever. And people do this all the time. I can't stand it.
You know what? I hear it in the parking garage all the time. You hear people like, boom. You hear them like it ringing and like, hello. You're like, hey, what's up, dude? And then they're going back and forth. And you're like, do you guys not realize that everyone around you hears your conversation?
They have no clue.
It's kind of like the older folks that put their phone on speakerphone and talk to it while they're going through the store. And you're like, man, we do not want to hear your phone conversation.
Oh, I feel seen. No, I'm kidding. I have done that, but I got better about using earpods and stuff like that. I'm actually the one that would I would just hold it without even doing the earpods, and then I get to a certain moment in the store, I'm like, hold on, throw them on speaker for far too long. This is also why I shop late at night, so it's okay.
Sean acting like a blue hair out there. Talking on the phone from a distance. Come on, Sean. Be better, Sean. Be better. It's funny. People complain. Well, somebody complained. I don't know. I don't want to say people. I'll say someone complained that we talked about movies in the last podcast when
that never happens.
When the playoffs are on.
It was my burner.
It's Brendan's. I did not see it as Brendy Bear. It did not say Brendy Bear. So I'm not sure. Although Leezy's here and is chiming in. Okay, so let's get to
Chris Tavares in the chat. Wishes I was in the sports office this time.
Does Chris know that I got called leprechaun multiple times the day after that pod that he made the drawing, by the way?
Well, he does now.
I'm the leprechaun. Sean knows that reference.
Brenden has no idea what
has no idea at all.
It's Mike Myers riffing on the leprechaun. Yeah, it didn't go
on Saturday Night Live, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so let's just get to the business. If you are watching here on YouTube, we are doing a live show tonight. We started, about 8:40, running about 10 minutes late, which is really good for us. 10 minutes late is you diehards out there that log in as soon as we send out we hit a button and all of a sudden you're in. You've populated the channel here. We appreciate you, but we're always late. It always happens that way.
We can be frank. It's usually my fault. You guys are always waiting on me.
100% of the time.
I'll take it.
100% of the time, it is on Sean. There's never been a time where I don't think. Nope, I don't think so. Yeah, Sean, where's your beer at?
You want me to drink? I could probably drink tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, go grab a beer. You're fine. I'll give the spiel about like where to find us and all that stuff. Anyway, yeah. So if you're watching live and you don't mind, give us a thumbs up. If you're new to the show, subscribe. That always helps us. If you're listening on some weird platform out there, whether it's iTunes or Spotify or wherever, I don't like it's all over the place. We ask that you give a rating or a review if you have a chance. Outside of that, join the Kings Beat, thekingsbeat.com. Become a premium subscriber to get all access, including the happy hours, which we will have a happy hour coming up. I'm going to have to like Houdini this thing around the playoffs or wait. I'm not sure. It's going to be a little wild here and a little crazy for the next week and a half, 2 weeks for Sean, Brenden, and I as we get ready to traverse the Interstate 80 heading back and forth between here and San Francisco as the Kings prepare to take on the Golden State Warriors in the first round of the 2023 NBA playoffs.
See what now?
Yeah.
That's happening?
What?
Wow.
What is happening? Have you guys gotten over that yet? That like
Nope.
Wait, we have playoffs. Wait, I'm going to have to file an extension on my taxes. And then I just learned today, no, you don't have to file an extension on taxes. You don't. Like in California, because of the flooding and the weather, all of our taxes got pushed back to October 14th, and we don't get fined. Oh, did somebody bring you a beer, Sean?
So the only beer I think I had left in the fridge, because we don't drink a lot of beer in this
Is that a Truly
household. Yeah, it's a fucking Truly. Look, man, strawberry lemonade sounds amazing. I've got one Blue Moon and one Sam Adams Oktoberfest, and then that's about it. So I don't like to drink at home, so Truly it is.
All right. I literally am recording this from a bar in my home. So
Right.
there's a possibility that I do like to drink at home. All right. So we cover the basis, right? Kings Beat, kingsbeat.com. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up, all that stuff. Sean, we'll start with
James.
you. Have you come to grips with the fact that the Sacramento Kings are in the 2023 NBA playoffs and they're about to face the vaunted Golden State Warriors?
I've had my head wrapped around the fact that this team is a playoff team already, so that part isn't the stunning part. I'm actually just really in disbelief that they're playing the Warriors. That part still just does not, like, I still can't wrap my head around that. Like, that just never, again, we've talked about it ad nauseum at this point, but they've never faced each other in the postseason. They've never been in the postseason at the same time. And because of that, like, yeah, this is just the weirdest feeling. And it's part of the reason it's why it's like, because I've had players from both sides over the years, media from both sides over the years, people throughout the NBA. Yeah, you know what you really need to get is a Warriors and Kings playoffs. Oh, wouldn't that be so much fun? And it's like, literally, I spent a good, healthy portion of the pregame of the home finale when the Kings played the Warriors, talking to people about that. And it was like, oh, it's really kind of trending that way. Sounds like it's going to be that way. And here it is. It's that way. And yeah, it just, it still feels very, very strange. And it's almost too long. I am enjoying it, I will say, but it is almost too long of a week here leading into the play. I just want the game to happen already. Like, I'm really looking forward to it. I
am too. And Brenden, I want to ask you too. Your dad is a Warriors fan. You were raised around Warriors fandom, and I know you have some allegiance to the Boston Celtics, I believe, and some other stuff. Had. Okay, yeah, previous. That's another thing. Brenden, not only does he not know movies, he also doesn't know that once you have a team, and you don't get to shift. Like, there is no had. Like, once you're a fan, you're a fan. Yeah, it's very similar to his movie watching. We've got a lot of work to do here with Brenden. But Brenden, like, but you're raised around it, so this has got to be at least cool. Your dad has got to be like, hey, man, any chance you can give me playoff tickets? And you're like, dude, I literally don't have any access to playoff tickets.
Yes, a couple people. Yeah, a lot of Warriors fans around me. My dad being the loudest one. My mom's side of the family is all Warriors fans as well. My grandparents, everybody I went to school with growing up. So it's been fun for sure. It makes for interesting conversations. Oracle was my home stadium growing up. Like, just grew up a lot around Warriors fans, which makes for a fun environment. They're a very entertaining team in general, and Sacramento is an extremely entertaining offense only this season. I think it's going to make for some amazing basketball, some really big runs. I expect the environment with kind of split fans to an extent in both stadiums to be pretty exciting, but I think it kind of locked in for me maybe yesterday, like, all right, this is happening, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited to have this be here, and like it is really cool. I've covered this team forever. I've never got to cover the playoffs in Sacramento. This is 13 years in, and I'm finally getting to the playoffs. And I think it's really cool. Like, we might have to sell like a pug or like the 15-year-old to pay for the 19-year-old. Like, the 19-year-old might sell these items to go pay for tickets for games because it's so expensive. But
wait, there's other options here than the dogs and the kids.
Sell boats. Don't sell boats.
Look at all the books. Can you get anything for the books or the baseballs?
We don't sell books. Books? Come on.
Wow. Does he know he's your least favorite kid? You went straight to him.
Come on. We love everybody equally here, except for the pug. I don't love him equally.
Clearly.
He likes to pee all over the house, but everyone else, it is. But I think this is really cool. I mean, it's astronomical how much they're charging for these tickets. And of course, like, I don't have some link that no one else had. I did pre-sales on Saturday, and it cost me like $685 for 2 tickets in row F upstairs for Game 5. And of course, my son is paying for those tickets, but still, like, it's crazy. Standing room only tickets went on sale, and they're $190 a pop for standing room. Like, it used to be $4 to go into Arco and stand in standing room only. And for the playoffs, it's $190, and you don't have a seat. Luckily, those don't come with fees, so that's one good thing. It's kind of surreal, right? We're all in this moment where we're actually asking Mike Brown, and we're asking De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and Kevin Huerter, and today it was Keegan Murray about like the build up to the playoffs. And I don't know, what has been your guys' takeaway? Brenden, we'll start with you. What has been your takeaway from the players and sort of the vibe that we're seeing with the players so far?
I think everybody's excited. Keegan came in and kind of had a smile on his face today. He seemed like he was excited, and in a very obvious way. You don't have to know Keegan, I feel like, to know that he was excited. Typically, maybe you can read into things a little bit, but it's kind of reading between the lines. There was a very clear smile on his face. I think that, there's been a lot of questions about the build-up. Everybody's excited when it comes to just getting to experience this. Some will express that more than others. Others will kind of try to paint it as just another step, as kind of De'Aaron Fox, I think, would tend to do. But the atmosphere is going to be fun. They're glad for the sake of the fan base. And I have some takeaways when it comes to game plans or things that I think are important that we heard about at pressers, but I'll let Sean answer the energy and vibe question first.
It's the Sacramento Kings. I mean, they're I don't think it's any different from the way things have started out. They're a group that enjoys each other for sure. I found it interesting today how Mike Brown, I was curious to ask him about how he separates these few days going into game one and what days he'll go hard and how he manages certain things. And obviously yesterday was a Wednesday. Yesterday was a day that they kind of went pretty good in a scrimmage. And obviously there was a little moment for Harrison Barnes. It's not believed to be serious. And obviously they're not going to rule him out or anything like that. It's just a precaution to kind of make things easy on him as possible, and kind of sat him out today. But it's interesting to see how they manage the time of practices. A lot of film, a lot of attention to detail, and you've got several days to really hone in on an opponent that is, when things are right, they're world beaters. I mean, 4-time champion, they're a dynasty, and he knows them all too well. It's fun because Mike Brown talked about the Warriors knowing him all too well, and I've got to kind of go through most of today's media availability with the Warriors, and lots of respect over the past couple days, just being heaped upon Mike Brown, and deservedly so. Guy who is on his way for Coach of the Year. He obviously got the coaching association portion of that today, and the media portion will be just a formality, and he'll have the NBA Coach of the Year. But yeah, I mean, he the Warriors just speak so highly of him. Draymond Green talking about today how it's not just his presence and his stuff that he added to the team that's missed. It's really his voice, his enthusiasm every day in and day out, and that helps break up the monotony of the NBA season. And maybe when you're going through some of the slog of the NBA season where you're just maybe you don't get up as much for this game or whatever, and it's really his voice, his constant enthusiasm that the Warriors have really missed. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think the demeanor around the team is loose. I think they're feeling good. I think they're I was kind of saying this on another podcast or show the other day, was I really feel that after talking to people both publicly and privately, that the Kings are in a way glad that they are playing the Warriors. I think this is the opponent that they look. If they had to choose one, I think you wanted to really validate themselves in finishing third. But I really feel this is an opponent because it'll be so much more meaningful taking down the Warriors. And if you lose, you lose. It's not going to take away from the success of the season, but you have a moment to be that team, that Western Conference team, to take down the Warriors in a playoff series, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. They've won 18 consecutive series against Western Conference opponents in the playoffs, dating back to like 2014. Their run here is impressive, and like I don't think any of us have ever taken anything away from what we've seen from the Warriors. Like whether they're as good this year as they have been in previous years, I mean that's debatable, and I really do think that this team is, if there has been a team that's beatable, it is this one, or the 2 years where they didn't make the playoffs and they were really bad. But overall, this is a team that they didn't really get their game together all season. And then they had players miss lots of time for personal issues or for injuries. They made a trade. Like all of these things, they play into who this Warriors team is. I mean, even, Andrew Wiggins will be back. We know that now. He'll be back for game one. He'll be on a 20 to 25 minute limitation. But like the guy hasn't played in 25 games. He hasn't played in weeks and weeks and, what is it, 2.5 months. And so there is just, how does he fit in? Is it just, it's one thing when you miss for physical reasons and you're sitting there with the team the whole time and you're focused on what's happening and you're fully engaged. He wasn't there. He was like away from the team dealing with a medical issue with his father. And so like, I'm interested to see what some of these things mean, because it's possible they mean everything. It's also possible they mean nothing. This is still the Golden State Warriors. And I think that that's something that we're going to keep pointing to the whole time, that like, this is a team that's been down 3-1. It's a team that's done, like, been through every single situation you can possibly think of over the course of the last 8 years. And they've come out on top exactly half of the championships in the last 8 years. And that's incredible. Like we were talking about, you mentioned Mike Brown won Coach of the Year. It's not the official Coach of the Year, but it is maybe even a more distinguished Coach of the Year because it's voted on by NBA coaches, and it's the Coaches Association award for a Coach of the Year. And I do think that means a tremendous amount to head coaches in the NBA. Again, it's incredibly well-deserved, but we got to watch their celebration today. And we've got to watch a lot of their celebrations throughout the season. That's one thing, like we'll tell you, like we don't get to sit there and watch their entire practice and all this craziness and their offensive sets and all that stuff. Very seldom do they let us in the door. We get to watch a lot of shooting. We listen to a lot of music that they're playing loudly. And then we get to see them sing happy birthday to players and staff and coaches and all that stuff all the time. This seemed like a really cool moment, not just for Mike Brown, but they celebrated Neemias Queta. And I don't know, what do you guys make, Sean, like what were your thoughts today watching that whole celebration that we were watching?
Yeah, I mean, it's consistent with what you've seen all season long, and they've been they like to do this, be it a player of the week, player of the month, coach of the month. I mean, there's all these different honors, if you will, throughout the course of an NBA season, and they can be a hard group. The staff can be hard on their players, holding people accountable, but they love on them really, really well, and they do it as a family, as this kind of family unit. And I think it's it's great to see, and it doesn't matter whether it's someone like Domantas Sabonis or De'Aaron Fox getting all this praise to the lowest guy on the in the totem pole, like you saw with Gary Gerald honoring a milestone there, Miguel Lopez, their equipment manager, getting recognition, and Lucas O'Connell as well, who would get recognition as a defensive player of the year, or game, I should say, get them the chain to let them wear it and really shine some light on what they've gone throughout the course of the season, and especially for how long someone like Miguel has been here. So it's just great to see that spreading of the love. It's a team with a lot of character. It's a team that has a lot of personalities that just gel really well together. And you see someone like Keita, they're two-man, and they're two-way center who, he's in his second year here. We wanted to see more of him in Stockton. We got to see that. We wanted to see more of him in Sacramento. We didn't quite get to see that as much as maybe we hoped earlier on, but certainly he went down to Stockton and did exactly what was expected of him and then some. I mean, to be an all-defensive team and then all G League team really goes a long way for
second in MVP.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out. Totally forgot about that. I mean, guy who really made a lot of strides in the league. The league took notice, and he's got hopefully a bright future for him. And we'll see what the future holds with him. But being able to celebrate those moments is just so big for a team like this that's really still trying to find their way as an organization, and they're getting their first taste of postseason basketball in 17 years. And you got to celebrate those little things along the way.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I mean, we've seen them do this all year long. I think it speaks to the chemistry and camaraderie that Coach Brown and the rest of the coaching staff, and a credit to all the players as well, a good group of personalities, it seems, all celebrate each other's success. And we see them do like birthdays too as well for anybody and everybody, where they're sitting down in a chair and usually look pretty uncomfortable while everybody sings happy birthday to them. But it's definitely like a chemistry building activity, I guess you could say. And we've seen it consistent throughout the course of the year. The way that this group gets along, again, I think the mix of personalities is a good balance. There's no bad eggs seemingly. And I think that stuff helps a lot on and off the court.
Yeah, Brenden, I want to bring it back to you here. We like to do this. We like to get your perspective, because Sean and I have seen like a million different versions of this, and you haven't. But what you did get to see last year was like Dysfunction Junction. Like, it was horrific to watch. There were so many bad things happening all the time. Not that anyone was a bad character or that like we had fights or anything like that, but what you did get to see is sort of the awkwardness that comes with like sort of the final 5 games of a head coach, where everyone in the room knows that a head coach is about to get fired. And then there's even that point where like you're like, what am I supposed to ask? And I'm like, well, you can probably just sit there and not worry about that, and we got you on this one. But to go from what you saw last year to what you're engaged with and seeing right now, just how is that? What has been like the sort of the challenge for you to take this in and to compare and contrast it to last season?
It's actually been a lot easier completely from my perspective. I think a lot of times last year when I'm like, oh, I don't know what to ask, it's because typically my questions tend to be sort of more strategy focused when it comes to the game. And sometimes it just went beyond what was going on specifically on the floor. Like if a coach is having an issue, or if there's some sort of awkwardness with a contract situation or trade rumors or things like this that kind of need to be talked about, like that's not there anymore this year. There's some things to like small extents where, like trade rumors are still going to pop up here and there and things like that. But it's just extremely night and day. Like at the end of practices last year, it's like, all right, well, Buddy Hield's going to go tuck himself away in the corner and just get a bunch of shots up. And like, it was just, there was awkwardness rather than this feeling of everybody messing around. Like they're all shooting free throws at the end, and Malik Monk is constantly bickering with someone in a fun and sort of playful way, or we'll be doing media. And I forget if it was with Keegan or Kevin today, but somebody, a player makes a comment from behind us, just kind of messing around. Like it's a lot more lighthearted There's more media there, I will say, these last couple days, obviously. Yesterday specifically, a whole lot of media. But yeah, there's not as much awkwardness in the same way that I say, like, I can focus on basketball more so because of that. I think the players can do the same thing.
It's a good point. It's a really good point that, like, the focus this season has been on building something. It's been on building success and watching it grow. Sean, is it crazy that, like, it's just barely a little over a year ago that Buddy Hield was in a Kings uniform and that we had that team? Because, like, the Halliburton thing, you always like, oh, Halliburton, Sabonis, who got the better of the trade? Like, we always focus on it so much. But, man, we have Buddy Hield here for like 4.5 years, and he's no longer here, and it's been a little over a year. But at this point last season, he had just been traded.
Like, I was going to say, at this point last year, Domas was here. Y'all need to leave Buddy alone. Damn, that's crazy.
I'm not being mean about Buddy.
Single out Buddy. It was an example.
He just got
Buddy
by.
was here forever, and then he's not here anymore. But it's kind of funny, though. It's like, for so many years, it's like De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, and then you can throw in Rashawn Holmes. But it's like, those are your four that you're building around. That is your core. That is your core. That is your core. And now he's gone, and you're like, huh, this is just such a different vibe, is what I'm saying.
I'll say this. I think to what you're trying to say is there was a time in which you were building around certain players or thought that this would be what you would build around, and you were, whether those players reached the heights you were hoping for, I think it was always in the cards that you were going to bring somebody massive to put around them. And I don't mean like physically. I mean like talent of massive talent to bring around and pair with these guys.
A Nicolas Cage type person.
Yes, the unbearable weight. Brenden, that's a movie recently where Nicolas Cage plays himself. You might want to check that one out. Anyway,
yeah, that's a fun one. Go ahead.
Does he find treasure in that one too?
No, not really.
Damn.
I don't think.
Spoiler alert. But it was also very it was very evident early on that, hey, that pairing isn't good enough. And Buddy Hield probably, if you're hoping he's going to be your second or third best player, that's just not good enough either. So with respect to those players, it's like you were trying to strive for something way different than what you initially set out for, and that's why you saw a changing of the guard when it came to a Vlade Divac era, to a Monty McNair era, and moves had to be done. So you were able to do that. And a year ago, I mean, make no mistake, we were talking about it. This is exactly what we were talking about in making that shift and doing it with a quickness right away. Now, didn't know that it was going to equate to third in the West, but certainly playoffs was a goal. Play-in tournament might have been at the time a little bit more realistic, but to just absolutely dash most people's expectations, including of my own, to show where they are, and they have accelerated this. Getting Domantas Sabonis was your franchise-altering move that needed to happen, and it absolutely has paid off in dividends right away. And it's just so rare that something like that can benefit both teams. And I think right now, in the immediate future, it's definitely benefited Sacramento more than it has Indiana. Well, the who wins the trade will remain to be seen. But right now, Sacramento's got they're the leader in the clubhouse.
They are the leader in the clubhouse.
Big takeaway, by the way, is don't let Sean interview a big trade chip the day before the trade deadline.
2 days before the trade deadline.
2 days. Sorry.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Sean and I have this saying that anytime they give away a player's autographed jersey, like during the game, we always look at each other like, oh, like they're clearing out their section of autographed jerseys.
We got to move these.
we probably need to get rid of all these Marvin Bagley jerseys.
Right.
Well, and so they give away a Marvin Bagley jersey in the upper bowl that's autographed, and Marvin Bagley refuses to go in the game. Like it's one of, like, so we have this thing where we're like, hey, Harrison Barnes giveaway, De'Aaron Fox giveaway jersey. It's just all in fun. But I think this season in particular, it's been enjoyable from start to finish. And that's sort of like what I think Brendan's enjoyed it. Sean has enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. There's been highs and lows a little bit here and there, but realistically, this team has been really consistent throughout the year. I'm going to throw this out. We, of course, always take questions from the audience when we're doing live shows. But let's go to this one right here from Miles. What do you guys expect Mike Brown's game plan to be for slowing down Steph Curry. And Brendan, I mean, you've watched Steph play as, just like the rest of us, but like, is there a way, because you're the guy who likes to do a lot of film study, likes to look at the X's and O's, is there a way to slow down one of the greatest scorers and the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA?
Probably multiple forms of prayer. Maybe you need to sage the building. Mike Brown needs to put both socks on the table. I have no clue. I don't think there is an answer. I think there's ways that I think the most important thing is you can't give him easy looks. He's going to get tough looks. He's going to get mismatches that he's able to take advantage of, but he can't get easy ones that allow him to get into a rhythm and knock down even more of some of those difficult ones that are going to happen no matter. Like, I think that he's going to attack Domas a lot. The way that they kind of have him defend at the level and then wait for the guard defender to be able to recover and then back off. Like, if Domas backs off too quick and the guard defender fully isn't back yet, Curry is so good at recognizing that half moment to be able to pull it. Like, you're going to have to be so on point with your off-ball communication and switching because of all the off-ball movement that goes on with Steph. I really don't think there's a good answer. Your best one-on-one answer has got to be Davion Mitchell. And that's a big question mark because De'Aaron Fox, I'd assume, is playing 40-plus minutes a night, and he hasn't really played alongside Davion Mitchell. De'Aaron Fox has played 25 more minutes with Davion Mitchell than he has with Rashawn Holmes this year. Like, we haven't seen those guys play together all that often, but maybe you see that more in this series because that's your best one-on-one option. De'Aaron needs to be a little bit better, but you just have to try to deny any sort of easy ones for Steph.
Sean?
There's no way to stop Steph Curry.
No. You can't slow him. You can only hope to contain him.
You just hope that you can, like, honestly, the more you disrupt him, the more pissed off he gets and the worse he usually kills your team. So, no, everyone's trying to figure out a way to stop Steph Curry. You just hope that he misses. You hope he doesn't get set. He can get the ball off quicker than just about anybody. Yeah, man, it's everyone else. It's really everyone else. You can't have Klay Thompson kill you. You can't have Jordan Poole kill you. Steph's going to get his. They know that. I think you're going to see a lot of 3-guard lineup. I think you're going to see some little quirky things from throughout the series. But I think also they're going to. I think Mike Brown alluded to it tonight or this afternoon. I don't even know what the hell day it is, but the fact that they're really gonna go out there and try to increase the tempo as much as possible, increasing the pace more than you've seen in the regular season. My only concern is I think you're playing a team that is just equally suited to do the same. And after hearing Draymond Green speak today, he's talking about how much their offense will fuel their defense. We've got that. If you want to watch that, that's actually on the YouTube channel of Fox40.com or Fox 40's YouTube channel. You can go check it out. But pretty honest assessment of what the Warriors are going to try to do. He's heaping a lot of praise on the Kings, and I know earlier in the season, especially in the clip that circulated in the shop where the Kings basically suck. He's gone away from that and certainly heaping a lot of praise on them, talking about how successful and how good this Kings team is, and rightfully so. And I think it's a pretty fair assessment. So definitely looking. And to answer Leezy's question, I know he was asking about the Halliburton interview. You can, we definitely posted that when I was over at the other station at Channel 10, so you can check that out as well. It's probably on my Twitter feed if you just do a search.
It's probably out there somewhere. And that was a great interview. It just happened to be the day before someone gets traded.
And it was with Halliburton and Davion Mitchell, so at the same time.
Yeah. LVO, hi. He's from Argentina. He wants us to greet him. Hi.
Hello. How's it going?
How are you?
Hello.
Like, to answer the question that I posed to you guys, like, there isn't really a way to stop Steph. And there are times when Steph is off. Like, I think Brendan is right. It's when you give him an easy one that when he is off, he finds himself. And then you're like, oh, no, that's not good. You get him to the free throw line. He finds himself. Like those are times when I think you have big time issues with him. I personally don't think that Davion Mitchell is a good matchup against Steph Curry. To me, Davion is a really good on-ball defender. He's not a good off-ball defender. He doesn't do a great job of chasing somebody, and he doesn't do a good job of staying with somebody in movement. When the guy in front of him has the ball, he's great. And so I think it's really going to come down to a lot of De'Aaron Fox. Even Malik Monk is going to have to step up and play Steph and be part of that rotation. But I kind of agree with Sean. Like it's got to be everyone else. You can't let, Klay Thompson get off like a whole bunch of wide open threes. And I think that this Warriors team, compared to so many of the other versions of this Warriors team, it might be the most defendable because they do start at least 2 non-offensive players. And so you can shift some of your focus. And even like if they start Dante DiVincenzo, we could even say that Dante DiVincenzo might not be a major offensive weapon as it is. And so I think you can try to take away some of these things. You can push Steph out as far as you can away from the basket. When he gets on a heater, there's nothing you can do. You just have to play defense the best you can. You need to get rebounds, which is something I think that came up today at practice and yesterday at practice. The Warriors are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. And if you let them keep getting that, and then on top of offensive rebounds, if something the Kings struggled with early, you let teams get offensive rebounds and they kick out for the spray 3, that's where I think the Warriors absolutely can destroy you. And so, can you defend Steph? Not really. But I also don't really think that there's a way to defend De'Aaron Fox for them. And I'm not sure that there's a huge way that they can defend Domantas Sabonis. And if Looney gets in foul trouble, then what happens? And so I think that we can talk about that, what does it mean for this player or that player? But, the Kings have bad matchup problems for the Warriors as well. I don't think that this is a one-sided street here. But
I do think that the Warriors have potential answers, and it's hard to come up with any for the Kings. Wiggins, you'll see what he looks like. It's 20 to 25 minutes. He's not going to be starting. We'll see what sort of shape he's in. When Wiggins is right, I think he's a really good matchup for De'Aaron. Gary Payton has some of the same sort of questions. I don't think he's moving amazingly, but he's certainly moving a whole lot better than he did when he was with Portland earlier this year. Dante DiVincenzo's an okay option when it comes to Steph. Kevon Looney and Draymond Green are both great defenders. I agree that there's not, it's going to come down to, I think, a lot of what Fox can do versus what Curry can do. And those guys are going to get there. So it does obviously have an impact what some of the other guys on both these rosters are able to do. But I feel like there's more hypothetical ways to approach things from Golden State's perspective on the defensive end than there is with Sacramento's.
I have my thought about the Warriors is the thing that scares me the most isn't really any of that. I mean, sure, Steph Curry, you got it. Wiggins coming back, sure, but I think it speaks more largely to the point that even before the finale here in Sacramento, probably a couple weeks before that. Now, granted, Wiggins wasn't back, but Gary Payton had been, and you're really looking at a team that the thing that concerns me more is that they're coming back at the same time. Everything is peaking for them right at the same time. They're really getting it going. Things are really, it's not people will talk about, can they flip the switch in the postseason? I think they've been in postseason mode now for a few weeks, and I really feel like things are really coming together for them at the right time, and that's what concerns me more than them just automatically stepping into this series. Now you have this moment where I think they had some rhythm. I actually think it works to the Kings' favor a little bit that they have this extended break, particularly with the Warriors, to hopefully take them out of whatever rhythm that they were playing in. Certainly they're not perfect, but the thing that concerns me is the fact that they just kind of seem like they're gelling at the right time. And I feel like with this group as opposed to other teams, I wouldn't really buy it, but I think it means a lot more for this group right now with this Warriors team because they are so familiar with one another. They have been there, done that, and they know what playoff basketball is all about.
All right. I think it's interesting because I think the Warriors had to fight their way into the playoffs all the way down the stretch. Like, they weren't the 6th seed guaranteed until the last game of the season, right? So I think that's an issue that they've had, that realistically they weren't very good early in the season at all. They got better as the season went on. They're the worst road team in the playoffs. They have 11 wins, or 11-30 on the road. Like, there are a lot of things that the Warriors did not do well this season. And does that mean that they fixed everything? I don't know. Like, you talk about like getting Wiggins back and getting, Gary Payton II back. Like, I watch Gary Payton II, and he doesn't look like he's back yet. He looks like he can play, but can he play major minutes, and can he be super impactful? I'm not sure. He's still trying to get his body back in shape, but he also has an abdominal muscle issue. And then we have no idea what Wiggins will look like, but I think it should be pointed out that when they had all of their starters, when they had everyone rolling and like healthy early in the season, they're like 14-13. Like, this isn't a team that was like, 10 games over 500 and they had some injury woes and it sunk them back, and all of a sudden, they are where they are. This is a team that wasn't playing that well early in the season. And up until the last couple of games, I don't even think that they were playing like tremendous basketball. But then you look at the numbers, and like Steph Curry had a great season. Klay Thompson had an outstanding season. Jordan Poole had a really good season. Like, there are like aspects to their team that are good, but I'm not sure that they're still the same team that they were before. And we're going to have to see who shows up. And that's going to be for the Kings as well. Today we talked about pace, and that's something that I think is really stunning. The Warriors are like the fastest paced team in the league, despite the fact that like most of their rotation is over 30. And the Kings are around like number 10 or number 11. But I think pace is going to play a bigger role in this series than people think. And I think that the Kings are going to show some different sides that we haven't really seen this season. And I think that like, we've discussed it with Mike Brown like today and some of the other players, but I think pace will come into play. Where are you guys at with like how this series will, like the speed of this series? Will it be just a flat out shootout?
Track meet, absolute track meet. It's what I'm expecting. It's one of the reasons why, not just myself, there's a great number of people out there that think this is not only going to be the most entertaining series in the first round, but potentially the entire playoffs. So I don't know that I'd go that far, but it's definitely something that, with the storylines and just the fact that it hadn't happened before, it's going to be really hard to ignore this. The Kings have proven, and the Warriors are right there even when they struggle, but the Kings have proven that they are, a league pass alert type of team that you want to watch them play no matter where you're living in the country, because of the way that they play, particularly on offense. Defense leaves a lot to be desired, but what they're doing on offense is really attracts the eye, attracts the average viewer, and what they're gonna put points up on the board. And I don't think we're gonna be coming out of any of these games, any of them under 110. So on either side, so it's gonna be it'll be a track meet, man.
Absolutely agree. I think that both these teams play at a ridiculous pace. I think that Golden State's pace, watching some of their games back recently, just totally jumps off the page. Like, it's insane. It's after makes, it's after misses. It doesn't matter. They run like crazy. They, similarly to Sacramento, Sean's face whenever he sips that Truly is the funniest thing to me.
Can I say why? This thing, I had to look at the label. First of all, I don't drink this ever.
I don't like Trulies. I got to be like, like on occasion I'll have a seltzer when we're on the lake or 12.
I've had the lemon one, and the lemon one's pretty good. This is the strawberry lemonade one, but I don't deal, despite being a man of larger carriage, I don't really love sugar, and it's got only 1 gram of sugar, but it tastes like it's got about 60. So I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm powering through. It's not bad. It's just really sweet, and I don't really deal well with sweet. So
the peach iced tea. I like the peach iced tea. Kind of tastes like a peach Snapple. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You're good.
Go ahead, Brenden.
Totally fine. I do think it's going to be an extremely high-paced series. I think that Sacramento doesn't necessarily get out and have the same emphasis, like even after misses, they do push the pace, but like Golden State seems to be on kind of another level when it comes to that. I think for Sacramento, the biggest thing is going to be when they can force turnovers. That's something that's plagued Golden State throughout really their entire run, which says a lot because they managed to win championships while having a turnover problem, but it still exists. They're 30th in turnover percentage this year. And the Kings are extremely efficient off of steals, with De'Aaron Fox, with Domantas Sabonis able to take it himself. So I absolutely expect it to be a total track meet, just to kind of echo what Sean said. And I think it's also a reason that I'm expecting there to be really big runs from teams. I think I mentioned this last episode, like basketball is a game of runs. It's always going to happen, but I think it's going to be even more extreme in this series with the crazy pace that these teams play at and the spacing and shooting they both have.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what I think will be a track meet, because I'm telling you guys, the Pelicans game for me was an eye-opener. Like, watching the Kings and Pelicans, the Kings walked in and just destroyed that team, like, from my eyes. Like, I watched them. There was such a professionalism to them. There was such a focus to them. They literally looked like they came out, they set their lunch pails down, they walked out on the court, and they just played this game that I hadn't seen them play. They played at a different pace. We saw it the next night in Dallas, where they have 109 shots against Dallas. Like, all of a sudden, this team was running in a way that looked like Dave Yeager's team's running, but with the crazy offense that they've had all season long in the half court. And I was like, oh, this if this is who shows up, this team will be hard to beat. And I don't mean hard to beat in the first round. I mean hard to beat in the first round, the second round. They'll be hard to beat, as far as they can possibly make it. They're going to be very difficult. And that's because there was another level that I saw from them that day. And so while we can talk about how I think the Warriors finished on a high note and the Kings finished with 3 losses in a row, which they hadn't done since November, the Kings had already sewn everything up. They didn't have anything to play for the last 8 games of the season almost. And they kind of coasted to the finish line, which is something that I was hoping they wouldn't do. But I also think, Mike Brown kept playing them. Like, we saw first half against Denver on Sunday, where I was completely impressed with what we were seeing from the Kings. I thought they were really, really locked in. And then okay, we're good. We got our first half. We're gonna set everybody, and we're good to go now. So anyway, I think it's interesting. I think this is going to be a track meet. I think Mike Brown talked about it today, how he does believe that there's a whole nother level that this team can achieve, especially on the when it comes to pace and their offensive efficiency and everything else. And I'll keep pointing to the crazy numbers. Kings were number one in the league in true shooting, number 1 in effective field goal percentage. They set the all-time record for field goal percentage, 2-point field goal percentage, which is crazy. That not only does this team were they a top 10 3-point shooting team, but on top of that, they're the number 1 offensive team with 2-point field goal percentage ever. And so there are certain things that this group did that I just think is really, really impressive, whether it's the points per game or it's the offensive rating, all these things. They're going to be fun to watch. And I like Sean, you're right. This is much CTV. Lizzie brought up a question here. I guess you leave a question mark, but game 1, Doris Burke, Mark Jones, and Malika Andrews. That's a pretty good broadcasting team.
Yeah,
yes.
It's ABC. I mean, they're gonna. When you're on ABC, you're getting their. It's either going to be that group or you're going to get the Mike Breen, Jeff Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson. I thought it would be awesome to see the Mark Jackson one, just with the storylines with both teams. But yeah, I mean that's the story. And I think it's going to be fun because if I remember correctly, when we were talking to our friend Mark Jones, he had that game taken away from him earlier in the season when he was supposed to on ESPN call that game in Sacramento, the team that he calls games for, and it was going to be the first time on a national broadcast that he had done that since coming over to the Kings, and so now we just have to wait for Saturday for him to do it.
Yeah, great trio. And especially when Sean presents it as between the 2 options, man, I will much rather pick the first one, to be honest.
Which one?
The Mark Doris and Malika combo.
Oh, you're not a fan of the Mike Breen, Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson?
I like Mike Breen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
They're calling game 2, right? I think so. I think Mike Breen is calling
I
game
think
2.
they might. Yeah, I didn't see the list, but I was curious if they were going to just keep things the same or not, but that'll be interesting.
I am a big fan, obviously, of Mark Jones. Almost slipped there, of Mark Jones. And I think it's great, as Sean mentioned, that he gets to be there for game 1, call game 1 of the team that he's covered for a good majority of the year. I think Doris Burke is one of my favorite people to listen
Fantastic.
to. I think she does a great job breaking down the game and has a good, she's just not taking herself too serious while she's doing it at the same time. And Malika Andrews does great sideline work as well. So I think that's a great trio.
Yeah, she was incredible. Malika was incredible when she had to step in out of like almost on the fly and take over for the finals a couple of years ago. Like I thought her handling of like the trophy and the whole entire situation was absolutely spectacular. It's a great crew. I think Kings fans who aren't in the building, they're going to be treated to, like the best of the best. I think this is really cool. So yeah, I'm excited to I'm sure I'll watch the game back the next day and kind of capture some of it, but I think it's going to be a fun series. And
just to be clear too, I know Brendan probably didn't mean this, but game 2 is a TNT game. Yeah. So you're talking about the next ABC game, which would be game 4. Is that the one you're thinking that would be Breen, Jackson, and Van Gundy?
Oh, no, I thought I heard that Mike Breen was calling game 2. Maybe I was wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I might be wrong there. Yeah. So, anyway, I think it's that's going to be part of the storyline. The cast of crew is going to be great as well as the game itself. And I chuckle every time I watch Mark Jones. Mark Jones cracks me up. We know Mark, and he's a good dude, and he did the happy hour with us and was phenomenal on the happy hour too. But he makes me laugh every single time. And
hilarious.
Yeah, he is hilarious. Some of the things he says I don't understand, just because it is
Why is that, James?
Well, because I don't know lyrics to songs that he knows.
Oh, it's okay.
And so that's part of it. But overall, I think that there was Mark, there are things he just cracks me up. I will rewind stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll have my wife come in. I'm like, you got to hear what Mark just said. It's ridiculous.
And I know you're talking about some of the whimsical things and some of the funny things he does, but my God, also just the guy does his homework. I mean, the guy just
so
absolutely puts in the effort and has tidbits here and there that most people probably wouldn't go to because maybe they don't feel the comfort level of even exposing some of those things. Mark knows a lot and is so tapped in, and it's fun to watch him work, man. It really is.
It is. All right. So if you guys are watching here on the YouTube channel and you don't mind, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe here to the YouTube channel. You're watching the Kings Beat podcast. Thanks for joining us. See James with that black Air Force One energy. I'm not quite sure what, you're never gonna, just so people know, you'll never catch me wearing a pair of black Air Force Ones.
I don't think anybody expected you to wear black Air Force Ones, James.
Would you wear the white ones?
Sure, I would wear the white ones. Yeah. Yeah, but
Crispy whites.
If I'm wearing Air Force Ones, it's because I'm wearing shorts, and no one needs to see me in black shoes with shorts on, because I'm already mayonnaise, and it's not a pretty sight. Yeah,
it's okay.
It's okay. I'm just pasty that way. So let's see. Somebody asked about Pacific Champion shirts. Look, man, we have no idea, Ryan. I have no idea what's happening with all their shirts.
I saw the playoff shirt in the team store. I took a good look at that. They had a big rack.
It's a good-looking shirt.
Yeah. Did you see how much it was?
No, I didn't purchase it. I would imagine 30, 35.
Try $69.95.
Or that.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Ooh,
Supply
not that
and
nice
demand.
looking of a
Supply
shirt.
and demand.
They're gonna want a kidney for that one.
Yeah. We have to give away another kid for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Special
we might have
edition.
to give up
Special edition.
the corgi as well as the pug to buy if the The 19-year-old's going to go to a game and get a shirt. He's going to have to start selling other things. Okay, so Leezy said the shirts are sold out. That's taken care of. Outside of that, Brenden, do you have any factor caps for us?
I do.
Oh.
What? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Before you get ready for factor caps, I'm gonna go ahead and just people have asked. The update on Harrison Barnes is that he tweaked his ankle late in practice yesterday. He continued to play and finished out practice. The Kings held him out of practice today, which Mike Brown once again fell on his sword and said it was his decision to hold Harrison Barnes out. Harrison Barnes is expected to play on Saturday. I don't think they're very concerned about the injury, and he's expected to play on Saturday.
The fact that he even continued to practice on Wednesday and finish out was, I think, the most impressive sign. So
yeah, and the dude played 82 games. I mean, he is battle tested. He'll be there. What do you got for us? Factor cap.
Real quick, laughing at some of the comments that are pointing out some Mark Jones best in his bag, like fries are at the bottom. Great one.
Yeah, digging for fries at the bottom. Yep.
There was another one that I wanted to shout out. Have him on a flight like an IG model is a personal favorite. That is a hilarious Mark Jones one.
That is up there. Yep.
But anyways, factor caps. First one we'll go with. Fact or cap? Kessler Edwards will play in game 1. Sean Cunningham.
I will say fact. I do.
Who does he guard?
I say fact. I could see him, depending on what Golden State does. I could see a number of different things. Wiggins, Draymond Green, even Gary Payton. I don't know. I feel like any one of those guys could be possibilities.
Actually, I think it's fact.
Klay Thompson, even,
I think the two guys you missed, Klay Thompson and Kuminga. I think that they can try to match him up on both of those guys. And I also think that there's a possibility that they do something crazy, like have him chase Steph Curry around for 5 minutes.
Well, they like to throw length his way, particularly with Curry. So I definitely could see several scenarios of throwing different looks at him, just to, especially if you've got someone trailing him, or if they get by him, whatever it is, it's throwing length in the face of him and see what happens and how he responds, and hope he kicks it out. So basically getting the ball out of his hands is goal number one.
Yeah, and Dean, you say you'd put him on Jordan Poole or Klay. I think the Kings have a really good option for Jordan Poole, and that is Davion Mitchell, because that's a type of player that I think Davion really does play well against. He likes to get physical, and Poole doesn't so much like that, and he also can stay with him for the most part. There will be times where he gets shots up and stuff, but lots of dribbling from Poole, where the rest of this team passes a ball like crazy, and so that's. I don't know that I would see that we would see Kessler unless he starts shooting over Davion a bunch of times.
I wouldn't be shocked to see Kessler, but I'm going to go with Cap. I think that the Warriors could take advantage of that by putting Draymond Green on him and just saying, I do not care how many times you shoot the ball. I don't care if the first 2 go in. I don't care if the first 3 go in. Until you're totally on fire, we're going to leave you wide open and let you shoot over doing anything else. It wouldn't surprise me. I think that if other things aren't working, I could see coach looking in his direction, and maybe he's just part of the rotation. I'm kind of thinking it's an 8-man rotation going in, but wouldn't be surprised if Kessler's the 9. He's kind of on the fringe to me.
Yeah, and I think when they do it, it's completely defensive minded, and yeah, you're right. I too think that he goes in there, Mike Brown, that is, saying, I've got my 8 guys. What I do after that remains to be seen in how the game unfolds. And so I think it's a 2-part question in a way. It's, do we see him? Yes. But does he plan on throwing him out there? I think if things go well, then no. But I think the game will develop in such a way that, yes, you will see Kessler Edwards.
You're a cheater, but I like that answer.
Yeah.
Who is the 8, by the way? Is it Davion, Malik, and then Trey?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm also going to say there's a possibility that Trey doesn't play And
so?
I know that sounds crazy, but I don't think he's a great matchup against many of these players unless it's Draymond. And even if he goes in against Looney, that's okay. But Looney is going to kill him on the offensive glass, just because Looney is so good at that and he's so physical. Chimezi Metu played so incredibly well against this Warriors team all season long. And so I think there could be a possibility that he gets those minutes. I'm not sure, but
I think you're onto something there. But I will say, I think especially when you're trying to match physicality and put something out there that from a physicality standpoint you can answer with, and I think they like what Trey Lyles brings to the table in that regard. And it has nothing to do with him, swinging on big fella for a couple weeks back. I can't even remember who he swung on.
Brooke Lopez.
Brooke Lopez. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the little skirmish he got into. I do feel like they will try to have an answer for the physicality that they're about to see, and I don't even think it matters whether or not Sabonis is in foul trouble. I would think that Trey Lyles would be at least part of your game one rotation.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm going to add to, like, the reason why they love Metu is because they're able to defend to switch 1 through 5 with Chimezi on the floor versus other players. I think that they may use, because the Warriors don't have a true backup big, I think the Kings could use Kessler Edwards in that same exact scenario, and we'll see a lot of that, the long three with Barnes, Keegan, and Kessler on the court together. And I just think it's a tough matchup for other teams. Like, it's long, it's lanky, it's like the athleticism that you need that the Kings don't always have on the court.
I do have some concerns about Trey. I think that he could get targeted by Steph Curry, by a Jordan Poole. But I do agree. Like, I think his rebounding is really big. I think his physicality, which is a part of that rebounding, is pretty big. I'm kind of with Sean there, where I think he will get run, but we'll see if he's able to stick around. And to the backup 5, which with it being Trey, like, I almost wonder if we could see a little bit of HB here and there when it's Draymond on the other side. Like, I'm not saying that's what you start with, but just kind of trying to theorize different things that you're going to have to try throughout the course of this series. Second factor cap. Steph Curry will average 30 plus points per game.
Yeah. Fact.
I probably should have put that number higher.
For the series?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be really close. I know that I'm really bad at this from my prize picks. I'm really bad at this. I know I am. I'm really bad at this from prize picks. But I think there's going to be, a couple of games where he doesn't score 30. Like, there might be a game where he scores 40 or 50. But I don't know. I'm not convinced.
So his 3 games, not that this matters, his 3 games against Sacramento, and reason I reference this is because I was like, man, Curry doesn't ever really light up the Kings. And this year he did. I mean, you went 33, 47, and 27. Those are the first 3. And again, those were the 3 games in the beginning. Actually, that was not the 3, because one of those was out here, right? I guess I got to double check, but I don't know if I even counted the last game.
Yeah.
What did he get in the final game? Do you remember?
No, but I can pull up really quick what he averaged versus the Kings. Yeah, it's a good question.
But I think 30 for sure is I mean, he's gonna get some buckets, especially with the way Kings don't defend and how fast this high scoring affair will be. Yeah, this is gonna be 30 easily.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that. I think we're probably gonna see like a wild high scoring affair.
Last year, round 1, he averaged 28. Year prior, round 1, he averaged 24.7. And the year before that, in round 1, why am I struggling to find this? Did he not play in round 1, possibly? No. 2017, round 1, we'll just go back one further. He averaged 29.8. But on the year, he's averaging throughout this regular season 29.4. I think it's an easy fact. I
against the
should
Kings?
bump that number a little. No, sorry, against just on the year.
Yeah, against the Kings this season, he averaged 33 in 4 games. 33, 6.5, and 5. And he shot 58.4% from the field and 50% from 3.
That includes a 47-point game with a 17-point fourth quarter.
He's good.
Yeah. Hot take.
Yeah.
Next factor cap. Steph Curry's good at basketball.
That's a fact, Jack.
Next one. I also question if I put this number too low. So let me know if I did. And if you think I did, I'll alter that real quick. But De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis will both average 40-plus minutes per game. Is the number too low? I debated putting 42, but it settled on 40.
Huh.
I think Fox for sure. Domas is the one I'm a little unsure about.
Really? For foul trouble reasons, or
for foul trouble, for mainly. Yeah, I'm a little. That's the one I'm just not quite as sure yet. So yeah, if I could split it, maybe I say Fox bonus, maybe not.
Okay.
I'm gonna say neither. I think the foul trouble is an issue that Sabonis has faced all season long, and I hope that doesn't become a huge issue. But I also think that Mike is going to try to stay somewhat close to what he does, like early in games, and it's tough to make up the minutes. Like, I don't think we're going to see De'Aaron Fox play all 24 minutes in the second half. And so I think he'll still do his weird rotation where he pulls Fox 6 to 7 minutes into a game and goes to Davion and then gets Sabonis a rest and then goes back to Fox. But I think we'll see less of it. I think we'll see a much shorter leash.
Yeah, game one will I think emulate a lot of what you've already seen in the regular season. I don't think they're going to try to deviate much from that unless things tend to unfold in the game or in the series. So I do think you're onto something there, James, especially with game one. But however game one goes could dictate what happens in games 2, 3, and so on.
Yeah. First time covering a playoff series, but I feel like these guys have to play 40 plus. I feel like you're extremely reliant on them. We have seen the lineup of, like James mentioned, when De'Aaron comes out 6-7 minute mark, and then you see Davion go into the game. That lineup's been pretty good. I don't think we'll get to the point where usually by the end of the first quarter, it's Domantas Sabonis and 4 bench players. I don't know that we'll see that lineup in my mind. I was anticipating some notable lineup differences, or at least differences in who comes out at what point, and just seeing more extended minutes for the top 7, 6, maybe even less. But specifically when it comes to Domas, De'Aaron, and HB, I thought that these guys could really be asked to play a lot of minutes. I'm going to say fact, but hesitantly. The only way I would say, the only asterisk I'll put is if Domas gets in foul trouble.
Yeah, I think foul trouble. And don't forget, like, Fox can get in foul trouble as well, because you're going to come out aggressive and trying to slow down a guy like Steph, and he can get in foul trouble where it just limits what he's going to. I think it'll be close to 40 for both, but I don't know. Again, I botch this on Prize Picks every single game. So I'm like really close, but it's like I get beat by a point, or that someone gets a rebound in the last second and I lose by 0.5. That's happened a couple of times.
One time Malik Monk had like the worst game of the year.
I would have won really, really fun cash if he didn't get thrown out of the game.
That's right.
Yeah, I needed 5 assists. 4 assists is what the number was, and he ended up with 1 because he got tossed. All right, factor caps.
Very last one. We've heard physicality be a keyword throughout the last 2 days. Extremely important with all the off-ball movement that these teams, that the Warriors have. And I think just something that happens in the playoffs. We heard kind of Curry talk yesterday. I think it was Curry, and Kerr might have echoed the sentiment as well, that like it's just a more physical game. The refs kind of tend to let you play a little bit more with physicality. And Sean? Maybe.
Yeah,
No?
I mean, I think there's something to that. The longer the playoffs go, I think people forget that early round playoff matchups are whistle heavy. First rounds can be rather gnarly. There's some oftentimes some bad basketball in there. So I don't know that I'm signing off on the fact that Kings Warriors won't be whistle heavy. Especially considering, especially considering just how defending a Warriors team and even the Kings team, just the way that they play offensively, they're two teams that can really draw you into foul trouble. So they're hard team to defend against, and so just from that alone, I think there will be a lot of whistles.
I was definitely leading that into the whole idea of like one of their principles of being physical without fouling. And I think that maybe you can get caught up in being physical and that being a focus and then leading to more foul trouble. And obviously Domantas Sabonis has struggled in that aspect. So factor cap, Domantas Sabonis will foul out of a game in this. I think it is an easy fact.
Was that the last factor cap? I don't think I answered
that was
the last one.
40 minutes for Domas.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. The physicality question. That's part of this.
Yes, that was just me leading up a long lead up for no good reason.
Just okay.
just let him wind up and stretch
get it
those
out.
legs.
Sabonis will foul out. Sean?
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. In one game of the series, which I believe is going 7 games, sure.
I agree. He will foul out one game, and whether it's late or he'll be in foul trouble at least 1 or 2 games because we'll see some crazy stuff.
Roger Vu brings up a really interesting kind of scenario, and if you know kind of the Kings' history with playoffs, I like what you're doing there and talking about Keegan going to set a Weber-Stockton screen on the first play of a series on Curry. Weber, when he did that against Stockton, clearly sent a message, but I don't think the Kings are at that point because when Weber did that, they had already had their hearts broken in the playoffs, particularly by Utah to begin with, in a playoff series the year before, and I don't know that we'll see that from Sacramento this year, if that makes sense. Like I know the parallel you're trying to draw, but that was such a huge changing point in that series, that moment, and it definitely sent a message. I don't know that we see that in this series. Does that make sense? Like I don't think the Kings are where the Kings were back in that. Like they needed that moment. I don't know that the Kings need that moment this year, or if they would even benefit from a moment like that this year. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know that they would recognize a moment like that and use it as a rallying cry like the Kings in when that was at 01 when that happened.
Yeah.
So watching the video real quick, I have never heard of this. Stockton goes to go through a screen,
Chris Webber was
Weber
a
just
big
kind of
star
throws a
with the
forearm
Kings.
at him. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Sean.
I got you.
Yeah. John Stockton was a
yeah. But Weber kind of just lays a forearm into him and lays him out, it looks like.
He pummeled him, man. Like
he hit him hard.
It was a dirty play, and they needed to send that message.
Yeah, but I'll say I agree with you, Sean, that this team isn't there yet.
Right.
But I also think that the difference between Stockton and Curry is that while Stockton gets up and runs their offense and he's the all-time leader in steals. Like he's gritty, he's all these things. He doesn't get up, get angry, and start bombing from 35 feet and light you up for 50 points. Right. That's not who Stockton was. And again, Stockton, well, I guess they're probably remotely close to the same age. Like Stockton was old at that point in that series. So yeah, that's interesting. Physicality, when the question, like Sabonis, yes, will foul out of a game, but I think it was interesting that Mike Brown singled out screens as one of the most important points of physicality, right? So he talked about it today. Like it's not just about like pushing people or like getting blown by or what all that stuff. He said it's about coming out and setting screens right away that are hard, and it's about boxing out. It's about knowing your tendencies and not allowing the group of Dante DiVincenzo and like Kuminga and Looney to just go out there and dominate you on the offensive glass. There are different points of physicality that he really is honing in on, that it's not just like smacking somebody around or having a Trey Lyles moment where he chokes somebody out. It's about like being physical from start to finish on every possession, and understanding that's what the playoffs is about. I think, again, that's the problem you have playing the Warriors. They know exactly what the playoffs are about. No one has more experience than this team, and you've got to teach your guys like very quickly that this is what we're talking about. It's about getting hit. It's about fighting through.
He's just getting us mentally prepared for the best screener on the team to be playing. Alex Len. He said it himself.
Lynn.
Yeah. I know somebody had the question about the technicals in there, and they're probably alluding to the Draymond Green situation. But in the playoffs, yeah, technicals are reset, but automatic suspensions, they're still there. So after they get their 7th technical foul during the playoffs, that's when your your suspension takes place.
Draymond got 7 in that postseason run.
Yeah.
Wow.
The one, where he got suspended.
Yeah.
That's a good question about Weber and CT and giving Stockton
really
CTE. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to wonder if there is something like to the CTE question there. Got to be honest. He went a little crazy. Stockton is, still the assist leader. And you know what? We had it sucks now because I think we all look at John Stockton a different way, just like you do Karl Malone a different way than when he was a player. But I thought it was an honor to watch John Stockton's final game, not only regular season game, but his final playoff game, his final game of his career in Sacramento, and he got a standing ovation from the Arco Arena crowd.
They both did. It was Malone and Stockton. They both walked off the floor at the same time to the respective Jazz bench, and it was the last time either one of them were in a Jazz uniform.
Yeah, but that was the last time Stockton ever played a game, everyone knew that was it for Stockton, and I thought it was interesting.
Malone went to the Lakers.
Yeah, Malone went with Gary Payton and with Mitch Richmond, right?
Yeah. Well, Mitch had already been there. He was on the 0-2 Laker team. He was sitting on the bench. It was a tough thing to see if you grew up a Kings fan.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to wrap this thing up here in a few minutes. If you have any questions, throw them at us really quick. We have answered a bunch of questions throughout the day here. I think, what's the over-under on Domantas Sabonis getting hit in the head? What do you got, Brendan?
I don't know, but I'm taking the over.
11? Yeah. I think it's probably between 9 and 11. Yeah. Sean? Yeah, that the guy gets hit in the head more than anyone I've ever seen. But
also, I think it was Low Post mentioned this. Draymond is going to make sure that his head is right in line of Domas's elbows too, and guaranteed to intentionally get hit by Domas's elbows.
And by the way, as he should, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what you'd expect. You'd want that from him if he was on your team.
Brian, you asked a question here in the chat. Who does Draymond try to antagonize first? It's Domas. It's exactly what they're saying. Draymond Green is going to try to get underneath him and take an elbow to the face. That's what he's going to do, and that's when you know it's going to start. It's on. Let's go to
Domas averaging a triple double. Thomas G there wondering. I don't know. Close, probably close to it.
Do you guys think Warriors fans will flood Golden One Center?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a good amount of Warrior fans there, and that's okay. I think there's potentially more Kings fans in San Francisco than Warrior fans in Sacramento throughout the stretch of this series. So I think Chase Center will have more Kings fans in it at any given time than what Warriors fans in Golden One Center look like.
Yeah. Brennan, what do you got? You're reading these hypothetical
I have a crazy
questions.
comment that, yeah. What was the question? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a two-way street. It's a two-way. The I-80 is a two-way. I think that, yes, there will be a lot of Warriors fans in Golden One Center. I also think, as we've said before, there will be a lot of Kings fans in Chase Center.
Lizzie, I don't have playoff tickets, so I can't answer the question about trading them for front row at Rihanna, but the answer would probably be yes if I did.
Yeah, we don't get playoff tickets. We have our seat, which who knows where that's going to be. Hopefully we're remotely close to where we're normally, but you never know. Yeah, I were you reading Ken's question there, Brendan?
Yes.
Ken asked, "Why does Brendan look like Sean's child?"
Does he?
Does he though?
Don't
Does
think
he?
so.
I don't have
know.
children that I know of.
I'm gonna say no.
I've never worn a Hurley hat in my life.
Things to strive for.
True that. I'm gonna
good
answer.
question. Roulette, red or black from Eric here. I think for me it fluctuates.
You always
I kinda
bet
go
on
over
black. I mean,
I saw
passenger 57.
57. Yeah.
Eric,
Shout
gotta
out
go.
Poker Pro Eric, because when we went to Sky River, I walked around the floor with him and he tried to explain to me how all these different games work. So
There are
his
some
name is
appreciate
Poker
him.
Pro Eric. I
yeah,
mean,
it seemed like the right guy to ask.
yeah,
it does. Yeah,
You're in luck.
yeah, that's wild. It seems like there was a Brendan had no idea how to gamble at all. So
Not
we
not
had to
anything?
teach him
can
the
do blackjack.
fundamentals. Yeah, but you're like, should I play this blackjack or that blackjack? And you go
Yeah,
to
that's true.
that type of gaming establishment, and there's like some really weird, wonky rules that you're walking into, and
There's a lucky spot, which I don't
That's awesome.
understand.
You gotta play that.
No,
Yeah,
and
man.
I thought I understood, but then there were times that I won when I didn't get why, and times I lost when I thought I should win. I don't know.
Charlie asks, what will Mark Jones say if Kayvon gets hot? Hotter than fish grease?
Probably.
Yeah, but that's too obvious. Is
Do you
there some
think
red
his,
velvet pun?
Do you think his big fans that always show up in the red wigs and red velvet jackets got their playoff tickets?
I hope they got their playoff tickets.
I'm gonna look up there and I'm gonna expect to see them.
Yeah, they're straight across from us where we sit, so we do see those guys every single game. I did have somebody.
I actually have a question for the chat. What's the most you've legit heard of a friend, family member, or otherwise spending for playoff tickets this series?
What do we say? What
Like,
are people
what's
spending?
the most you? Yeah, what are people like? I don't know. They don't have to do it themselves, but if they've maybe I know someone had shared how much they had, but maybe their neighbor or somebody's spent he spent like $2,000 or whatever.
I have someone hit me up that's a friend that said they're selling tickets section 126 row P for 500 a seat, and I think there's two, but only for Kings fans.
And is that for like game the whole series, game 1, game 2?
I don't think it's the whole series.
That's game 1,
Right?
No, that like game 1. So
That's
$1,000
strictly
for
game
two, and the lower bowl. That's actually really good. Yeah.
If you had let's take the media thing aside. If you guys were, let's just say it doesn't have to be the Kings, but whatever. James, I imagine would be the Kings or the A. Let's pretend it's the A's, James, and it's World Series or something like that, something equivalent. What's the most you would spend on the you'd rather go to game 1, right? Because it's the first one. It hasn't happened in a while. You don't know what's possible in a game 7, something like that.
Like I bought the seats I got for my son because tickets were going so fast that day. I got him seats to game 5, which again, you're rolling the dice and hoping that there's a game 5. I think there will be a game 5, but that's why. What would I spend? Is that your question?
Yeah, I imagine. I guess it's not even really. It doesn't really apply to other teams because I guess you can just literally take this playoff scenario, the storyline with this team, and if it were me, I think you had to pick a game you'd want to be at the first one because it's the first one ever against the Warriors. It's the first one ever from the 17 years. And it's the first one in Golden One Center. So, yeah, I think there's a number of reasons why you'd want to be there for that game as opposed to, say, Game 2 or Game 5 or Game 7.
Yeah. I mean, Game 1 is going to be crazy. I think it's going to be amazing. I probably would have paid a lot for Game 1. Like, if I was going as a fan. Like, I don't know how much. But, I mean, you and I have dropped plenty of money on concert tickets in that building. And I think that would have a lot more meaning than almost any concert outside of maybe Paul McCartney early on. Where
That
you're
was the
getting
first
to see,
event. Yeah.
yeah, the first event and a legend that you're not going to get that opportunity forever. Yeah, I don't know. I think I think it'll be. I would pay a lot. I probably would have. Brenden?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what is even an equivalent? Like
Right.
it's 17 years, 16 seasons. Like maybe a We Believe Warriors game when you thought that they could win. I don't remember if they won at home. I want to say they did. I don't know.
We got
and it
Todd
sucks
Packer
because
here in the chat, of course.
it sucks. It sucks too because you're talking about really the first round of the playoffs and all these
Right.
equivalencies you want to like draw. It's like, oh, this was the first time like the Giants were in the World Series or a Super Bowl. It's like, no, those are championships. It's quite a bit different, but this is what people are paying for as if it is their World Series or Super Bowl.
Yeah, we got Todd Packer in the chat who has decided he's going to be pro Warriors and go nuts. And this very much reminds me of the episode of The Office where Todd Packer took a dump in Michael's office and smelled up the office.
Oh, wow.
Do you not know what I'm talking about? Like
I know The Office. I just don't remember the.
You don't remember the episode where Michael came in and there was like a pile of in his office. He came in and he had to have his carpet removed and freaked out and like went nuts, and at the very end it ends up being Packer.
Was that the David Koechner character? Is it Koechner or who am I thinking of? Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. So anyway,
That's funny.
yep. He's taking a dump in this entire chat, and like the best part is it like
Oh, what are you doing there, James?
We'll just do that, Todd.
Oh,
You can get your own thoughts, Todd.
You had a celebrity sighting and you blocked him.
I just there's no reason. There you go, Todd. You have a good day. Yeah, he got
he's
me.
about to
Weezy got
complain
me.
on Twitter so much.
Yeah, Todd. There you go. Get your own thoughts.
I don't run the I don't run the band hammer, but I feel like you got job, Todd Packer.
Okay, let's do this. The
we doing
business
predictions?
of basketball.
Oh, we gotta do that first.
I don't want to do predictions, but
Don't we
okay.
have to.
I don't think we do. Like, I
We
keep
do
saying
it for
this.
every other thing. Everyone wants to. Sean, what's your win total? It's like, who gives a fuck? And I finally do it, and it's fine. But like, you always got to give a prediction just to be on record, I guess.
Do you?
Right?
Do you though? I know
Warriors in 6.
Brenden already did. You're saying Warriors in 6?
Sorry, but yeah. If it goes to 7, I'm definitely picking the Warriors.
Well, that's why I picked the Warriors because I think it's going 7.
You think Warriors in 7?
Yeah.
I think that the Kings, if they win their first 2 games, have a chance. It's a tall task,
Wow.
though.
Way to go on.
I'm going to say this.
No.
Here is my
everyone
prediction.
has a chance if they go up 2-0.
I mean, yes, but yeah.
Here's my prediction.
No, you're
If
good.
the Kings are going to win the series, they'll win it in 5. I don't like them in 6 at Chase, and I don't like them at 7 as the team that hasn't been there before. And so if they're going to win, I believe it would be in 5. And that means you win the first 2 at home, you split in at Chase, you come back up 3-1, and you get the win at home.
So I agree with you, but that's not a prediction. Do you predict that will happen then?
I don't know.
No, that's not an answer.
I don't know. Like I
Well, so
won't
what
Always
always
do this, by the way, Sean.
Who
I
does?
see how it's frustrating you. What do you mean?
Well, but I will call it. I mean, you've got time to do. I will take it up to maybe the 12th, 25th hour, whatever it's called. I'll do it, but I'll do it before it happens. You've had enough time to rack your little brain about this and figure out what you want to do. What are you gonna
I don't
do?
know. I don't know who's going to win. Like I honestly
so
don't
pick
have an
one.
idea. So don't pick one?
No, just pick them. Just gun to your head. What
Red
you
or
got
black,
say?
James?
You have to. If you don't pick one, your boat sinks.
I'm going to say Kings in 5 or Warriors in 6 or 7.
Sounds like the latter to me.
What do you think is most likely to happen?
I don't know. I honestly, like I'm telling you guys, I think
How
I saw
is
a
it
different
that you
side
have
of this
harder
team.
time how is it that you have a harder time picking between the Kings and Warriors in a 7-game series, but an easier time predicting what the freaking season total will be in wins?
Because like we've learned too much about this team, and
that's
like,
why you pick. That's why I had such a hard time picking regular season wins, because I hadn't seen this team really produce. You haven't seen them play. It's a thank you, Eric.
I mean, like if gun to the head, I'm gonna say Warrior 6, Warrior 7.
Okay, was that so hard?
Well, but maybe because I think it's possible the Kings are gonna win in 5.
No, I think it's possible the Kings win too, and I agree with your scenario. I think in my opinion, in order for the Kings, and again, this is just an opinion, in order for the Kings to win, they have to win early. Like you could say Kings in 6. I could see it. I just don't see how the Kings would win in 7 games. I really don't, and that's just my own.
You
barely
think they can walk
opinion.
they can walk into Chase and win Game 6?
Sure, I think they can win in Chase. I don't know. I maybe not. Who knows? Maybe not 6, but I do agree with you. But my whole point is, to save one of your family members or your boat, I would say yes. That's why I say Warriors in 7, because I do think this is going to be a very, very long series. I don't think the Kings are going to be able to cakewalk through this. And I'm sorry, if you win in 5, guess what you just did? You cakewalked through it. So I think it's going to be a long series, and therefore that's why I went with the Warriors.
I know I just said that the Warriors would definitely win Game 7, but
he's already changing.
No, I will just add the caveat that that's not whatever. It's never 100%, but it almost becomes a play-in game, and this is a team that can score 140 on a night. Like if they're totally rolling, it could happen. But I guess I shouldn't say like a 90-10 is more so I think how I projected. I think it'd be more of like a 70-30 type thing if it came to Game 7.
I don't know. I feel like I want to change.
Well, do you think? You got like 5 answers.
I do have 5 answers.
What was your final answer? I don't even...
He said, I think the Warriors in 6 or 7. He still didn't pick one.
I think no, I'll say this. I'm going to go against what I just said. I think Kings in 6. And that's just, I'm being a contrarian because you guys already said Warriors are going to win.
Right. I like these people that say traitors as if like
traitors.
There's this one guy
what are you
that anytime I tweet something that is not just strictly pro Kings, he always is very quick in my comments to just all caps call me Judas, and it's one of my favorite things. It's very impressive. The timing. He's quick with it. He's relentless. He's one of my favorite people on Twitter, actually.
And Brenden, just so you know, Judas sold out Jesus for 20 pieces
I educated myself because of this guy, actually. I had no clue.
He's like, wait a minute, my name's Brenden. Who the hell is Judas?
Judas.
So good.
You had to look up who Judas was, right?
I definitely did.
Oh, damn it.
What's Judas' Wikipedia page look like these days?
It looks very similar to the movie that you're always trying to get him to watch.
Life?
Yeah, he has no idea what it looks like. Yeah. So.
Well.
All right. Brenden Judas Nunes. That's amazing. Sounds like a bunch of Mark J. Spears in here.
Do you think that when ESPN or whoever come out with their predictions, like I think we just saw it was like 17-0 that Miami will beat Atlanta. Like, do you think that anybody will pick the Kings?
Oh no, I did see it, and only one person did pick the Kings. It was Bobby Marks to pick the Kings in 6. Everyone else went against the Kings. Yeah, everyone else picked the Warriors, and most of them picked Warriors in 6 and 7. And that's one thing I'll say. Like, if you're gonna pick the Warriors in 6 or 7, then you have to like understand. That means that the series could go either way. Like, if it goes 7, it's all bets are off. Like, who knows? Like, sure, one team has been there before. At that point, you guys, the two teams know each other so well, and you've split. It's even Steven going into the final games. So I really do think that, like, of course, you're going to deal with officiating that's wonky and all kinds of other things in that Game 7. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun series.
I agree. I think it'll be the best one of the playoffs. I wouldn't go that far, but do you?
Right there with Memphis and LA. And I really do like New York and Cleveland.
Boy, after seeing LA against Minnesota the other night, boy, that was bad.
I am very much not convinced that means it was disgusting basketball, but I didn't look at it as, man, both these teams suck. I thought the pressure was getting to these guys, and both of those teams are solid defensively. And I didn't view that as like, oh, the Kings would for sure smack either one of these teams, or both of these teams, no matter who it is going to get smacked by Memphis. Like, it was gross to watch. Yeah. But I still think the Lakers are a good team.
The more sickly sight was how awful Minnesota was on offense. I mean, they couldn't. It was like watching.
They wouldn't set a screen, Sean. No one would set a screen. You're just like,
the ball wouldn't move.
What are you doing?
Terrible. Kat said after the game that he was like kind of paranoid to drive to the basket because he had 5 fouls. And it's like, I guess, but like step backs when Austin Reeves is guarding you is not the answer.
That didn't stop him from hoisting up a bunch of crappy looking 3-point shots. Like, all right, I guess no one's going to foul you. You're not going to offensive foul anybody from out there. I could not believe how bad. When the chips were down, they had no offensive set to rely on. They had nothing. And I was like, it was 5 guys standing on the perimeter just looking at each other, and then someone hoisting up a bad shot at the end of the game, at the end of the shot clock. Just absolutely pathetic. That's where I think the Kings, like, they're going to keep running their offense. You're going to be like, okay, like if the shots aren't falling, they'll find ways to continue to score. Where I thought Minnesota, that was just embarrassing. So
Anthony Edwards forgot how to put the ball in the basket.
Oh, I was wrong. You guys were right, and I was wrong on the predictions for the play-in. I thought the Lakers would lose, and I thought the Pelicans would win. And I thought the Pelicans would knock off somebody. And what do you guys think?
I was wrong in the East, though. I was wrong in the East.
What do you guys think about the Zion situation? Is that just strange?
I mean, it's the normal. So I don't think it's strange because the Pelicans I feel like they just already are at a place of acceptance that this is their reality and that he's not ready. And while they won't tell the media all at once and the fans all at once that hey, he's not coming back, and dangle a carrot of hope, perhaps, I think they treat it as, well, he's just not ready, and he's not ready until he is. And they've got blinders and they go forward, and it doesn't matter if they see him windmill dunk in a pregame warm up, if they see that he looks fine
with
in
like a 25-inch vert. That was
right.
That was not good.
It could be I think it's equal parts mental as it is physical with him, and throwing him in to a must-win situation where you've just got to throw all caution to the wind. They're not comfortable in doing that, and I don't say that I don't blame them, but I just think there's an acceptance there. They know that this is their reality, and Zion Williamson, as it currently stands, is not ready.
Brennan, are you trading him this offseason?
I don't know. I honestly don't really have a take. I haven't. I've seen things here and there about what's kind of going on or being talked about, but I've been very locked into Kings Warriors, so don't feel like I have a good enough idea on what the latest is to speak on it.
I think it's wild. I think we could see like musical chairs this offseason. There's so many of the players that are around that age that are locked into long-term deals that I just don't think that they fit what the team wants anymore. And that, like Trae Young, I think Zion fits into that category. I think in a certain situation, Luka could fit into that category, although it'd be really tough to see him go. I think Cat fits into that category. I think a bunch of teams are going to have to really look at each other, look at themselves in the mirror, and then have some like really interesting conversations about, would this player work here as opposed to here, and like, does someone need a fresh start and all that stuff. So I think it could be really a crazy offseason, and not about like the older superstar guys changing teams, but like this other group that are younger star level guys, the 23 to 26-year-old crowd that just can't get their team past the first round, or can't get their team into the playoffs, or can't figure out how to move forward. So that's where I'm at. All right. Do we have any final thoughts? Final thoughts.
My favorite stat I found throughout the play-in games was, so Toronto missed 18 free throws. This came to my mind because people are talking about DeRozan's daughter being a defensive player of the game for that one, right?
She was awesome.
It was hilarious. She fluctuated her voice and just changed the way she was doing it. It was perfect. It's as good as it gets. But they missed 18 free throws.
McCrafts would like to see if you could match that.
Not happening.
In the chat.
Not happening.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you want that to happen? I think there's certain
not.
people that we could talk into it, but not myself.
No, not.
They missed half of their 36 free throws. They missed 18. And in the 1,240 NBA games, I think I have that number right, meaning there are 2,480 total final stat lines in the year for different teams. Only one time did a team miss 18 or more free throws this year. 19 was missed by Memphis at one point earlier this year. Toronto missed the second most that would have been throughout this entire regular season in their play-in game. Horrible. But my actual final thought, one thing I will say, I just want to throw that out there, is just I'm going to plug my pod with Anthony Slater. I think that Slater has great perspective on both of these teams. As somebody that's been covering Sacramento this year, he's obviously been covering Golden State for a long time, has a familiarity with Mike Brown, and kind of dove into some of the more details, what we expect with rotations, matchups, what he feels like Mike Brown knows, or how that could be beneficiary, and if that's a two-way street, and blah, blah, blah. So check that out.
Check out the Kings Pulse podcast. It's in the we have a link to it on the YouTube channel. It's on there. Sean, final thoughts?
Can't wait for the series. Can't wait for game one. I think it's going to be a very special moment in Sacramento history. And I would just say it was so fun to catch up with some of these Kings players who were in the last playoff series. I was kind of doing we had, caught up with Kenny Thomas, Brad Miller. I got Kevin Martin just a couple hours ago. I'll have that interview up. Probably on Fox 40's YouTube page and on the web page, on the sports page as well. At some point tomorrow, I'll tweet it out and make sure. But real fun discussion with him, especially considering, if people don't remember, Kevin Martin was a rookie. Obviously, came into a really good team with Sacramento. Spent half of his career in Sacramento, the 12 years he played. But the first taste of the playoffs that he had, he was not on the active roster. He was left off the playoff roster when they went and lost in Seattle. So when he got to his first taste of playing in a playoff game was that San Antonio series, had that wild game winner. And I'll share a little fun moment here. It's probably one of the parts that I'll tweet from the conversation, but telling me how he shot that he was surprised Mike Bibby gave him the ball because Mike Bibby doesn't give up the ball in clutch situations, and how when the ball left his hands, his eyes were closed. So pretty fun.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What do I got? Number one, the 6-man statue. Like, why didn't they try to clean it up at all? I don't understand. Like I took a picture of it today, and it just looks horrible. So
can I give you an unpopular take? I mean, wasn't it always kind of gross? It was just not the most.
No, because Alan Holder, Alan is a big Kings Beat fan. He's one of our regulars. He's a good dude. He's posted a picture with his young kids, which it's got to be a little while ago, just because, you can Arco's still in business then. So it's been a while, but it didn't look that bad. And it looks bad now, and it looks like they didn't even try, and maybe they did, and they couldn't figure out a way to clean. I don't know if it's bronze. I don't know what that thing is made out of, but it looks like hell, Sean. It looks like hell. If you're gonna represent something, you're gonna put something out there.
Well,
I don't know.
In fairness,
maybe they will clean it before they actually open that area.
No, because you would have done that before you loaded it on the truck. I would assume, because you don't want to have to spray it off and have chemicals and all that stuff. I don't know. It looks. I don't know.
I wonder if at the time that they built it, if they it's probably not supposed to still be displayed. it was out in the sun, and it was left for dead basically by that arena until it was demolished.
Yeah.
It probably just didn't have the shelf life. I never thought it was the most appealing looking statue anyway, but I know it means a lot to people. I'm not saying that, it doesn't. I know there's a lot of people that love the Causeway Classic trophy that you get for the winner of the football game between Davis and Sac State, and it's literally just a cylinder of, what is it, James, rubble, granite, whatever they built the chunk of causeway basically inside.
Seen it in years.
It's just awful. Anyway,
it's awful.
Yeah, I mean, but it, one in this situation, one man's junk is another man's treasure. So I know it means a lot to some fans. So go take a picture with it.
I've always thought that it should have been brought inside the main doors. Like, there's so much room there that they could have put it on and put it like in the ground right there, like somewhere inside the main doors.
That could be cool.
Like, you got the Pikachu statue or Piglet, whatever it's called, out front. Piglet, which is not great.
It's called Coloring Book, but it is Piglet, yes. And it's also, that thing costs like over $1 million though.
No, it costs way more than that.
Yeah,
they had
isn't
$5
it
million
a
to spend on that?
child's rendition of Piglet, which is the biggest bullshit? I can draw a child's rendition of whatever. Like, that's just the biggest cop out.
Brendan's been triggered.
Who knew that fine art would be Brendan's? Wow.
No. If you're like, this is a child's rendition.
I hope people stayed around to see Brendan get pissed.
He just lost his shit.
Shake
just
fist
now.
at Piglet.
That just come on.
You see Brendan out there 2:00 in the morning, standing there peeing on Piglet in the middle of right out in front of the arena.
That thing costs.
It's kind of cool. I just don't. I would never think it's Piglet.
It is Piglet. It's called Coloring Book.
It's a child's rendition of Piglet.
It's Jeff Kuntz was the artist, right? And if you remember, like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that thing costs millions of dollars, whatever it is. I get it. Brendan's not a fan. Brendan's not a fan. But the sixth man trophy, $500? Like what? Like what?
No,
it could not have cost that much money.
It didn't cost $1 million, but probably. I mean, we're talking about the Maloofs when they were wealthy, not the Maloofs at the end. So that statue probably cost, like, I don't know, a couple $100,000.
Like, I don't ask the chat, would you rather have the 6-man statue or sit in the upper bowl for game 1? What is more valuable here?
I would take the 6-man statue and just put it out in my front yard. Just like, people would be like, hey, what's with the giant 6? I'd be like,
you live on a lake with acreage and boats.
No, I don't have acreage. I mean, I have
apartments,
a third
my guy.
Of an acre. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not going to put it in an apartment, but yeah, like I would wheel it in. Like, I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, I think it's funny that Brendan hates Piglet.
I don't hate Piglet. I like Piglet. That's just not Piglet.
It's just random.
Who knew that piece of that fine art would bring such angst out of that young man?
I'm not even that mad. It's just
now I need to know his thoughts on the red rabbit. Like,
don't
why? Why is actually makes no sense. I don't understand. Why does Sacramento Airport have commercials? Why is that?
What do you mean?
Like, why am I watching a Giants game and a Sacramento Airport commercial comes on? Like, I don't.
They paid NBC money. They paid NBC money to promote the Sacramento Airport. I'm not sure.
Want you to drive to San Francisco or Fresno or Oakland or I don't know.
All right, so let's finish this thing off. What was my final thought? Did I have a final thought?
You said it's about the 6-man trophy.
Yeah, somebody needs to take a wire brush to this thing. It looks bad. I'm sorry.
Are you volunteering?
$8 million. Cameron said $8 million for the Piglet statue. I thought it was 3.5, something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm taking requests for child's renditions of whatever the hell people want.
The best one, I mean, it's a fine piece of art. I give it that. But the best one is up the escalator in the arena as you go up towards the upper bowl and you see the mural. I think the guy's name was Phil America that did it, and it's chopped up shoes into this Kings logo. Kings player shoes. It's phenomenal. It is my favorite piece.
They have a escalator with all the glass balls like hanging from the air too. I think is pretty cool. Like they did like there's some nice things like architecturally in there. It still is pretty. It's void of personality inside. I mean, I think it's an incredible arena, but like a lot of concrete floors, a lot of white walls. You know, a lot of empty space. You got your child's rendition of Kale. That's what Brenden. We need to see. We need to see.
Someone said a child's rendition of Judas.
All right, a child's rendition of Judas. There you go, Judas. Oh man. All right, so I think I'm gonna finish with this. Enjoy this. Like I have no idea how it's gonna go. Sean, Brenden, none of us have any idea how this is gonna go. But like embrace the fact that Kings are back in the playoffs. Enjoy the fact that they're back in the playoffs. Like sit there, watch with your kids. Get your kids to be Kings fans because it's something that I hate to see that Sacramento fans have lost a generation, at least. So get everybody around the TV. Enjoy this thing. If you can make it out to wherever watch party you can make it out to, go do it. I know even my guys, Elo and Casey, are having watch parties. Go hang out. Like enjoy this thing. We have no idea how long it's going to go. You just take it all in and embrace it because I think it's going to be fun. That's it.
I'm pretty sure we got a text before this that this was going to be a short one, and we might be setting a record.
I think once I sat down, I couldn't get up. Like I'm stuck here. I probably will sleep right here. Yeah, the back problems have not been good lately. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Kings Beat podcast. If you're still watching and you don't mind, give us a thumbs up. There's still 188 people in here, and it was in the 190s just a second ago. Give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. Become a subscriber here to the Kings Beat. Jump on board with thekingsbeat.com. Become a subscriber there. Become a premium subscriber to get all of the latest information on the Sacramento Kings. Everything gets sent out to your inbox. You don't have to worry about searching us out. And you get to help us pay to go to San Francisco and stay in luxurious, crappy hotels down the street from an arena that very well my van could get stolen at any moment. So jump on board with the Kings Beat. And again, take it all in. Go to some of these watch parties. Have a good time. And thanks for joining us here on the Kings Beat. So for Fox 40, Sean Cunningham, and Brenden Nunes from the Kings Pulse podcast, I am James Hammer, Kings Insider for ESPN 1320 and the Kings Beat. We'll see you next week.